All right, the US Open draw has officially been released, and welcome back to Painting Lines. A little bonus episode today. We're going to break down the US Open draw, give a little preview, and hopefully have some bold predictions and hot takes here. All right, before we get into the draw, though, let's talk about some withdrawals. Hurkacz, I feel like this one was kind of up in the air. You never know. He's been pretty hit or miss the last few months, but Dimitrov, we broke that news last week. That was pretty unfortunate. Berrettini, Fees, Nishikori, and Kyrgios. Those guys I wasn't really sure about either. Like Kyrgios, I didn't even know was an option. Did you?
Yeah, I was about to say is it Kyrgios even pulling out, or is it just like continuing his absence from the sport?
Yeah, well, same with Nishikori too. Like, because there's
Well,
no way that.
no, because
uh,
Nishikori has been playing a decent amount, right? Like he has played in a good amount of tournaments this year, whereas Kyrgios it's like one tournament.
yeah, and I feel like Berrettini just completely fell off the map. I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, I feel like he had a brief little comeback there, but he's been sitting in like what the mid 30s.
Yeah, and then one more thing to mention, Stan Wawrinka did not get a wild card to the tournament, and he is pissed. He posted on X, he's like, imagine not giving a winner of the US Open a wild card, like as if they're not good enough, but giving it to someone who sells popcorn. So he's unhappy. I'm pretty unhappy. That's kind of BS.
Yeah, I am not on board with that. I feel like it should be borderline like the Masters where you get to like keep playing in it every single year as long as you want to. Like you get an automatic bid if you've won it before. Because at a certain point he's not going to want to keep playing it. It's not going to be a match. He's not if he's not in the top 1,000 ranked players, I understand it. But he's still a relatively competitive player and he's a former winner. I feel like he should definitely get a spot.
Yeah, he got snubbed. All right, let's start out with the top of the draw, the center section. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a Poprin center second round matchup. That could be pretty interesting. Like with Poprin, his talent level's up there, but he's also not very consistent. And then you got center.
Yeah, I mean, 100% that jumped out to me as well. I feel like obviously you had Popperin get a massive upset in the US Open last year. And you look at how he played in Cincinnati and Canada. Yes, he didn't obviously win one of the tournaments like he did last year, but he had a good run in Canada and he had great performances against a lot of players, pushed Rublev in Cincinnati. And I feel like if he plays well, this could be a tough match for Sinner. Sinner's definitely still the massive favorite, but Popperin, when he's on, is a scary player to go against.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a hard second round match for anybody. But let's talk about Draper. I'm looking at him. So he's playing a qualifier or a lucky loser first round. And then he's kind of got a decent draw himself, but he hasn't played tennis or he hasn't played singles since Wimbledon. So I'm not sure where I can put him here, but what do you think about Draper?
Yeah, I mean, so the draw has been completed. He's going to be playing against qualifier Federico Gomez, 20-year-old Argentinian player, number 127 in the world right now. But I feel like that hypothetically is a very easy matchup for him, given the fact that he's a top 10 guy in the world. But like you said, I mean, we haven't seen him since Wimbledon, where he lost early against Cilic. Be very interesting to see how well he does in these harder conditions. And obviously skipped the whole hard court swing in the build up to this. So it's tough to know how he's going to play. Obviously, he did play pretty solid, I guess, in the mixed doubles, but I don't know how much of an indication that is.
Yeah, I know. And then we got the most anticipated first round matchup, probably of the tournament, Musetti and GMP. This one I am very much looking forward to because Musetti has not been playing well the last month or so. And then GMP, he's into his, I think, first semifinal in Winston-Salem tonight in God knows how long, I think since January. So that'll be a great match.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Musetti and he's 7-7 on hard court this year. So hasn't been a super dominant guy considering how high he's ranked. And he's facing a big server with an explosive game. That's not what a clay court guy wants to play against. A clay court guy wants to have a very long, drawn out, lots of longer rallies. And he's playing a guy that's going to benefit from the court being faster. So definitely a scary matchup for the first round for Musetti.
Yeah, two one-handed backhands too.
Exactly.
So if
Exactly.
you're a
And
fan of traditional tennis, you got to tune in.
yeah, and like you said, GMP has been playing, I think, a little bit better. He made the semifinal in Winston-Salem, unfortunately lost. But then again, that could be a bad thing for Musetti too, because if he did play in the final, that would be one less day of rest.
Yeah, I agree. Either way, going to be an interesting one. And then to top off this quarter, we got Caboli and Diallo, both seeded, but highly. These guys, I could see them potentially making a run.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do because they're guys that definitely are almost at the Umber status right now, where like you don't really expect that much from them, but you're not shocked if they do decent either.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next up, we got the second quarter. This is what I'm calling Zverev's quarter. There's a lot of qualifiers in this part of the draw, which I think is pretty interesting because I feel like normally they're spread out, but because it's random, this one, I think Zverev will benefit from this either way.
100%. And I think honestly, the way it worked out, Zverev probably has the easiest path to the semis because you look at even the seeds in his section. You have Deminar, you have Hachinov. Yes, they're guys that could be threats, but you compare that to a guy like a Draper or having someone like Djokovic in your section, and you feel a lot more comfortable with who you're going against.
Yeah, that's a good point about the seeds. I mean, even the seeded guys, you got Tsitsipas, FAA, Umber, like these are not, guys that are particularly that great right now or that playing that well. So another reason why he's got the easiest draw.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tsitsipas and you're like, okay. I mean, don't you expect him to lose in the first round?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take Mueller here,
Yeah, I mean, he just lost
unfortunately.
in Winston Salem, right? To, who was it? Yibing Wu or something like that.
Woo. Yeah, yeah, woo. Oh man. All right, tough one for Tsitsipas. Hopefully he can at least win a round. But then next quarter we got quarter three. I think this might be the toughest one here. Like let's start with Djokovic. Djokovic and Tien round one. That's gonna be a highly anticipated match too. Maybe not as good as Musetti GMP, but I think all in all, this is pretty cool for Tien to get to play, the greatest tennis player of all time on center court at the US Open. That's pretty much what every like young tennis player, American tennis player dreams of.
Yeah, I mean, Arthur Ashe Stadium is unlike any other court in the world. I think it's the biggest tennis court or tennis stadium in the world, right? And so a cool
Yep.
experience for him. And it's kind of funny because we saw the other American next gen guy. Well, I guess one of the other American next gen guys, Bossa Veretti, take on Djokovic. I think
Yeah.
at the Australian Open this year, right?
Yep, exactly.
So they're all getting their chance to play against him.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Then we got the young American Darwin Blanche. He earned a wild card into the US Open here because he won Kalamazoo and he's only 17. He trains at the Rafael Nadal Academy, so not sure if the USTA was going to give him a wild card either way, just because he's not training here in the US. But that'll be an interesting, match to see him play.
Yeah, 100%. And I do think that's a pretty cool tradition that the because Kalamazoo is the U.S. Open, I think junior national championships, and the winner gets a wild card into the U.S. Open, which I think is just a cool thing like to have as the reward for that tournament. Uh, and yeah, good luck to Darwin Blanche.
Yeah, definitely cool because a lot of those kids, they don't know if they'll ever be back. So something you got to achieve. And then another highly anticipated first round matchup, Runa and Botic van de Zandeskog. So the only reason I'm even considering Botic right now is because of his success last year when he beat Alcaraz on Arthur Ashe, like second round.
Yeah, obviously that was a massive upset then, and he's actually playing well going into the tournament. He's going to be playing in the Winston Salem final. He just beat GMP, so obviously his level is pretty decent right now, and maybe if he has that momentum, he's going to pull off another upset.
Yeah, a couple of other guys, a couple of American guys, Tiafo and Mickelson. I feel like they can be dangerous here. We all know that Tiafo is capable of that US Open magic, and Mickelson's had, relatively some success here, like more than others.
Yeah, I mean, what Tiafoe was a semifinalist last year, so a lot of points to defend at least. I mean, I think he's set to drop out of the top 20 if he doesn't have another massive performance here.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't drop out of the top 20. Then I'm looking at the draw here, and we have a potential Fonseca Mensik third round match.
Yeah, that could be interesting to see two next gen guys. Obviously, Menzik has had the bigger accomplishment, but if you go back to the next gen finals, Fonseca did end up winning there when they actually played in a head to head tournament.
Yeah, I feel like I got to favor Mensik here just because he's had more tour experience.
Yeah, well,
And
I
he
mean,
won that Masters 1000.
tour experience, I feel like it's relatively similar. I mean, Mensick has a little bit more, but he definitely has the higher tour accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. And then lastly here, I feel like Nakashima Fritz in the third round is a lock.
Like, you think they're both 100% going to get
I
there?
think they're both, yeah, they're going to play each other in the third round.
Yeah, I mean, hey, do you think Nakashima has a chance there?
No, I don't. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, watch this. I mean, they're both going to be out in the first two rounds now that you called it a
Oh,
lock.
no, no, definitely not. All right, next up, the last quarter here, the Alcaraz quarter. I think a couple guys we got to mention here: Shelton, Griekspoor, Lehechka. Shelton not so much sneaky, but I feel like Griekspoor and Lehechka are sneaky guys.
Yeah. I mean, Griekspoor and Lehecka both are players that definitely have. It feels like sometimes they show up later on in tournaments and you're like, okay, I see why this guy's here. He's a solid player. And then, like, they'll do nothing for the rest of the year. So they have a decent chance, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. And then the Medvedev Bonzi Wimbledon rematch. This was one where Bonzi took out Medvedev round one Wimbledon, and Medvedev went on and said he played out of his mind against him and all like these typical funny Medvedev quotes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Bonzi has to play out of his mind again to beat him here. But Medvedev, that would be a real bummer to see him lose again early here. I know that he has obviously great success in the past, has won the tournament, has made the final another time. So he's a guy that's definitely a threat here if he's playing his best, but he hasn't been playing his best in 2025.
Yeah, that would be really funny if Bonzi became Medvedev's like slam kryptonite, where he just faces him in every slam and can't beat him.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Medvedev just like show up and just win this whole thing.
Oh, I agree. I'd be here for it. Got to go through Alcaraz though, and
100%.
Sinner at
Yeah.
the end,
Not
most
not
likely.
not an easy path for anyone.
Yeah, well, Medvedev did it against Alcaraz a couple years ago. That was exciting.
Yeah. I mean, he beat him, but then he lost to
Mhm.
Djokovic.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And then another guy who I want to mention here, Davidovich Fokina. He's someone that has been having a good year, but has kind of fallen off the last couple weeks just with health and fitness because he had to withdraw twice. And I'm just not sure if he's fully ready. If this was a 100% healthy Davidovich Fokina, I feel like I would be remiss to not mention him, but now I feel like because of his health and his fitness or lack thereof, he's not going to be as dangerous as he normally would be on a hard court.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to me is like I feel like he now has had his little bit of time off, right? Like the reason he pulled out of all those matches, I feel like was because they were on top of each other over and over and over and over again. And now he's going into a slam. He hasn't played in like a week. He's had a little bit of time to recover, and he's going to be coming in fresh, but still having had the high level performance that he had a little bit ago.
Yeah, all I know is I hope they don't schedule him at 11 a.m. because he will not be happy about it.
Yeah, back to back days.
Yeah, well, he is Spanish, they go to bed later. They eat dinner at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. He won't even be awake at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and then he's got a siesta later.
Yeah.
But all right, lastly, Opelka Alcaraz first round. Do you think Opelka gets a set off Alcaraz?
I mean, I'll say this: I would not be surprised at all. I mean, if it went 5 sets, I'd be like, "That's typical Alcaraz." But if he lost, if Alcaraz lost, I would be really
Also
shocked.
typical Alcaraz.
Yeah, I mean, then again, the thing about Opelka, right, is that his serve is so scary that, like, if you lose one like service game, you get broken one time, all of a sudden that set's probably just gone.
Yeah, Alcaraz has got to keep it tight here. Or, he's able to drop a set if he needs, maybe even two. But I think ultimately, yeah, Alcaraz gets it done.
100%. But yeah, so that wraps up the individual quarters. But let's go to those quarterfinal matchups now. So obviously, the first section we got Sinner versus Draper. This is a semi rematch from last year, and it does feel as though Draper has developed more this year, but it's really hard to know where he's at since we haven't seen him in a while because of that arm issue. So it's a little bit of a question mark, but it's a matchup that could be a prestige one.
Yeah, I love the rematch factor too, because I remember watching this one last year and he could have gotten a little lucky because remember Sinner had that fall, hurt his wrist, and kind of struggled thereafter. But Draper's fitness let him down, and he was throwing up on the court. So it was kind of both guys not 100%. Sinner got it done in three.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Maybe earlier matchup, they'll both be a little bit fresher.
Yeah, hopefully, because that'll be a great match.
Yeah. And then Zverev versus Deminar is the projected quarterfinal. And honestly, even though Zverev doesn't really feel like a real contender to win the whole thing, whether he falls apart in the semis or in the finals, I don't really know. He still feels like definitely the favorite to make the semis from his quarter because you look at a Deminar, maybe Hachinov has the chance. He's pushed him recently, but it feels like Zverev has his quarter kind of in a chokehold right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like we said, kind of the easiest quarter, so he should be through with relative ease.
Yeah, and then Djokovic versus Fritz, the projected quarterfinal from that one. And it's really weird to be saying this, but I do expect last year's finalist to be ousted by a 38-year-old. A weird way to put that, but that's just how it is when you're playing Djokovic. Fritz, even though he did make the US Open final last year, is still not going to be favored against the greatest player of all time who has made the semifinal at the last three slams.
I agree with you there. Fritz has got to hope that Djokovic suffers some kind of like minor tweak throughout the tournament and kind of does what he does or did what he did against Sinner, where he wasn't 100%, kind of had to serve and volley, wasn't running. So I think that's the only way Fritz beats Djokovic if he's not
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, you've looked at what two out of the three semifinals he's played in this year. He played in Australia, withdrew after one set, played against Sinner, wasn't 100% there. Fritz is like, come on, just something happened before he gets to this match.
Yep, that's just being 38. By the time you get to the quarter semis, your body's probably hurting so badly.
Yeah, you've already played five matches. Like that
Yeah.
sixth match is just a struggle.
And if you're
And,
Medvedev, you're probably spending, 20 hours on court and not being phased.
yeah, I mean, Medvedev just has that. He's ready for that style of game. And I guess Djokovic isn't at 38 years old.
No, sir.
But then the last quarterfinal matchup is Alcaraz versus Shelton. Obviously, Shelton's coming off the biggest title of his career earlier this month, has had some big performances in New York in the past. The real question is it the time he finally steps up and can actually compete with the Alcarazes and the Sinners?
Yeah, this would be a real stepping stone if he does, because he's able to make deep runs and slams, but he hasn't quite gotten, a final. But I don't think this is the year. I don't think he eclipses Alcaraz or Sinner.
Yeah, those two guys just look like they're completely separated from the bunch. And speaking of those two guys, my last final question for this episode, right? Alcaraz or Sinner? Because in my mind, if Sinner is healthy, he takes it, and there's no doubt.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I hope he really. I still don't know what the health issue was in Cincinnati, but hopefully that is passed and he is ready to go. Because I want him to start catching up to the head-to-head with him and Alcaraz. I want it to be more of a rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, like we said last week, it feels like that was an illness that was driven by the conditions and isn't something that hopefully will continue nagging him as he goes into the US Open.
Yeah, and you got your plus 110 Sinner to win the US Open bet.
Exactly, exactly. Let it ride.
All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.